friends and supporters. I am Alfred from the Singapore Democratic Party, SDP. In this video, I'd like to share with you some policies of the SDP. BAP has a set of policies or direction for the country. So does the SDP.
Hi.
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 Hi everybody.
Hey there.
Hello everyone.
Salam sejahtera.
各位大家好。
Good evening, my fellow Singaporeans. My name is Chee Soon Juan, and I am the Secretary General of the Singapore Democratic Party.
I'm Dr. Paul Anantambaya. My name is Benjamin Quinn.
I'm Min Cheong.
My name is Robin Low.
My name is James Gomez.
My name is Wayin.
I am Damanhuri Abbas.
I am Tan Ji Se.
I'm Alfred Tan.
Support me and support the SDP.
Please support us, support SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Sokong SDP hingga ke panisaya nan khatir itu.
支持農能，支持民主黨。
Support us to help build a democratic Singapore based on justice and equality.
I invite you, my fellow Singaporeans, to stand up and walk.
Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan has asked how much does the SDP proposal cost and how is it going to be funded? Here's my answer. The SDP's proposal comprises 3 initiatives, namely 1. Suspension of GST up to the end of next year, 2021. 2. Monthly income of $500 for retirees over 65, known as the Retirement Income Scheme for the Elderly, or RISE. And 3. Retrenchment benefits at half of last drawn salary, known as the Re-employment Scheme and Temporary Assistance for the Retrenched, or Restart. The suspension of GST will cost around $11.3 billion in 2020. The Retirement Income Scheme for the Elderly is estimated to cost $2.8 billion, and the retrenchment benefits another $2 billion. Together, these 3 initiatives will cost an estimated $16.1 billion a year. We propose to make fuller use of the investment returns on our national financial reserves. Our reserves are invested and generate substantial returns every year. According to current policy, the government can use up to 50% of these returns for our annual budget. For the year 2020, the government has allotted $18.6 billion to the annual budget. This means that there is a net balance of at least $18.6 billion available, which is more than enough to fund the 3 SDP initiatives. In fact, there would still be a final balance of $2.5 billion. This will not raid the reserves. The principal sum of the reserves is not touched, as we are using only the return on our investments of the reserves. It is like spending only some of the interest income on our fixed deposit in the bank without touching the principal sum of our deposit. Our reserves will continue to grow with economic growth and net investment flows. But wait, that's not all. There is another huge buffer from the sale of state land leases. This revenue averaged about $16 billion a year in the past 10 years, and its contribution will ensure the sustained and healthy growth of our reserves. These are tough times. The SDP believes in investing in and helping the people. The money will not be wasted, but instead will add value to the lives of the people today and for the future. Thank you.
Dear friends and supporters, I am Alfred from the Singapore Democratic Party, SDP. In this video, I'd like to share with you some policies of the SDP. BAP has a set of policies or direction for the country. So does the SDP. Our policies are guided by three key principles: people before profit, rights before riches, and wisdom before wealth. These principles will bring our country in the right direction. Analysts predicted up to 200,000 retrenchments in the post-COVID aftermath. We will introduce Restart, a retrenchment insurance scheme for retrenched workers. It covers 75% of the last drawn salary for the first 6 months, 50% for the next 6 months, and 25% for the last 6 months, capped at the median wage. To qualify, retrenched workers will need to actively seek re-employment. To rebuild our post-COVID economy, we need to focus on our SMEs. We propose to divest GLCs in certain sectors and redirect resources towards the SMEs. SMEs and not GLCs are the natural engines for innovative growth. We call for the introduction of a minimum wage scheme. We need to reduce income inequality. When there is financial security, our workers can then improve productivity, a key factor in turning our economy around. We will introduce a talent track scheme. Foreign PMETs who wish to work in Singapore are assessed on a point system, scoring on qualifications, skills, and experience. Qualified applicants will then be added to a wait list. Companies will then be able to hire from this list only if they are not able to find suitable Singaporean candidates. This system will put priority on qualified Singaporeans, while keeping the option open for companies to hire foreigners only when needed. To reignite the battered economy after COVID, we need to encourage spending. We propose to remove the GST entirely until end 2021 and keep the GST at 0% for necessities like food, education, and healthcare when the economy recovers. GST can be increased for luxury items such as sports cars and jewelry to make up for the difference. The COVID pandemic has trained the spotlight on our healthcare system. Our healthcare system is world-class, but healthcare costs for the people are too high. Medical inflation outpaced general inflation by around 20 times in 2019. With this backdrop, we propose to scrap the complicated 3M system. In its place, we introduce a National Healthcare Investment Fund. This will cover all basic healthcare requirements, including accidents and pregnancies. The NHIF will be funded primarily through citizen contributions and government spending. Every working adult will contribute about $50 per month from their CPF, lower than the current MediShield Life premium. A patient co-pays 10% of the hospital bill, capped at $2,000 per year. The remainder will be paid by the NHIF. The universal healthcare approach ensures that people will not need to worry about financial ruin in the event of a catastrophic medical emergency. With our economy, jobs, and healthcare addressed, we next look at public housing. The systemic failure of HDB resulted in flat shortages and escalating prices. While this is being rectified with aggressive construction efforts in recent years, HDB prices remain artificially high due to the land cost component. We propose non-open market flats. Removing the land cost will reduce flat prices by about 40 to 60%. The price of a 2-room HDB will be around $70,000. 3-room $100,000 and 4-room at $160,000. By reducing the costs and paying less for their flats, Singaporeans can leave more CPF funds for their retirement needs. Because of the non-open market nature, the norm flat owners will only sell the flat back to the HDB. There is no opportunity to speculate and profit from the norm flat. These are just a few features of our proposed policies. To access SDP's full policy details, please refer to the links in the description. So, my friends, if you think that some of our ideas appeal to you, please give us the opportunity to represent your views in the next term of Parliament. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Alfred from the Singapore Democratic Party. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Cheers.
Hi.
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 Hi, everybody.
Hey there.
Hello everyone.
Salam sejahtera.
各位大家好。
Good evening, my fellow Singaporeans. My name is Chisun Juan, and I am the Secretary General of the Singapore Democratic Party.
I'm Dr. Paul Anantambaya.
My name is Benjamin Quinn.
I'm Min Cheong.
My name is Robin Low.
My name is James Gomez.
My name is Wayin.
I am Damanhuri Abbas.
I am Tan Ji Se.
I'm Alfred Tan.
Support me and support the SDP.
Please support us, support SDP. Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Sokong SDP. உங்களுக்கு பணி செய்ய நான் காத்திருக்கிறேன்.
支持農能，支持民主黨。
Support us to help build a democratic Singapore based on justice and equality.
I invite you, my fellow Singaporeans, to stand up and walk.
Who are you to represent me in my SMC? I've received this question a few times today, so I'm going to share more about myself. Hi, I'm Robin Low, candidate for Yuhua SMC. Some Singaporeans may know me from the various groups I run. I run a plant swap group on Facebook, and I organize regular plant swaps for the communities who exchange seedlings, cuttings to try out different edible plants and herbs. I also work with various marginalized families to connect them with composting experts to learn to turn food waste into compost and help them sell this organic compost to earn a little extra. For my friends who know me, some think that I'm a simpleton as I do what I consider necessary things. I volunteered for various disaster relief and co-founded Relief 2.0, running the last mile of disaster relief, started in 2011 after the Japanese tsunami. Our motto, never help, engage, enable, empower, and connect, is one that I truly believe in, as I do not think that the best solutions come from the so-called experts. So I do agree with various PAP ministers when they say that they do not hold the answers to everything. I do not think they deserve their salaries as they are unable to provide solutions to our problems. I have a lot of experience from engaging refugees, survivors from disasters, and marginalized communities. I get inspired by their aspirations and dreams. The solutions that they create often look at what's available and not need big budget to make the solution look good. I've written a book called Good Intentions Are Not Enough, and I believe that many of the ministers have good intentions like increasing GST to fund and support low-income families or various cash give-outs to seniors during the election periods. However, I feel that the problem that they wish to address, the never-ending increase in the cost of living, is often ignored. My friends who know me know that I do necessary things because it is right. I do not get paid for running many of these organizations or for my board positions in many companies. I do not think that the loss of privacy when I'm focused in serving the public. I believe in the SDP 4 Yes, 1 No campaign, which aims to put people first and support everyone during this crisis. Please vote for me, vote for the SDP. Thank you.
2020.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are at the Bukit Gombak Stadium, which is counted right now, and we are expecting an announcement.
It was quite a noisy atmosphere with the supporters blowing whistles, chanting and cheering.
At the Bukit Gombak Stadium after the announcement of the final vote count for the single-member constituency, a contest which he has lost.
This doesn't quite feel like a defeat. It's difficult. We're not only competing against the ruling party, we're up against the media, local media as well.
Party chief Chee Soon-juan, the Singapore Democratic Party failed to make headway in this general election.
Whenever I stumble, my opponents laugh and they rub their hands in glee. It is painful, and that pain has tested me to the very core. But I know I must bear the pain because it is the pain that makes me better and stronger. Failure comes only when we stop trying. If you don't know me by now, I will tell you again. I will not stop trying.
Hey there, friends and supporters. I'm Min from the Singapore Democratic Party, and it's great to have you with me. Today, I'd like to take you through the key points of our 4 yes, 1 no, or 4Y, 1N GE campaign. So, let's get to it and start with the yeses. The first yes would be to suspend GST. Now, with the economic fallout from the COVID-19 crisis, the SDP proposes suspending GST until the end of 2021. The rationale is, the GST is a regressive tax which hurts the poor more than it has an impact on the rich. And the suspension of GST would be a nudge in the right direction to stimulate the economy and help businesses. Because, at this point, it just wouldn't be smart economics to raise the GST to 9% as is currently planned. The second yes would be to disburse retrenchment benefits. These are tough times, and many businesses are struggling, as are individuals affected by the situation at hand. The SDP is committed to fighting for retrenchment benefits to be paid to workers let go as a result of circumstances created by the COVID-19 outbreak. And in what form will this be? Well, the SDP's Re-employment Scheme and Temporary Assistance for the Retrenched Program, or Restart, aims to pay 75% of a retrenched worker's last drawn salary for the first 6 months, 50% for the following 6 months, and 25% for the final 6 months, capped at the median wage. The third yes would be to provide a basic income for retirees. How so? The SDP's Retirement Income Scheme for the Elderly, or RISE, aims to cover the bottom 80% of retirees by income bracket with a sum of $500 per month. Many of these retirees depend on their working children for financial support, and others don't even have working children to support them. And as we know from the Household Expenditure Survey conducted in 2019, the average retiree household receives about $500 from their working children. But with retrenchments and pay cuts expected to rise as a result of COVID-19, working adults are going to find it harder than usual to provide for their own children and at the same time take care of their retired parents. So, RISE will not only benefit retirees, but it will also mitigate the financial pressure younger working adults have to contend with. The fourth yes would be simply to put people first. We've always believed that the bedrock of any nation is its people. And in order to ensure we can work towards creating a future where Singapore is happy, healthy, and thriving, socially, economically, and politically, we need to focus on doing right by our people. We've detected hints that the establishment is exploring the possibility of holding a GE amid the COVID-19 crisis. We hope that's not the case. But if true, the powers that be would be revealing that they are willing to overlook public health and safety for their own political interests of securing what has been characterized as a fresh mandate. This, when the single-minded focus of our authorities should have been squarely placed on taking decisive action to contain the spread of the virus and resolve associated problems. The mishandling of the crisis, from delayed implementation of mask-wearing requirements to piecemeal adjustments of lockdown directives, alongside the failure to address the dismal living conditions of our migrant workers despite early warnings, has made the situation for Singaporeans and people that call Singapore home much worse. The SDP will ensure that it holds the PAP accountable in putting our people's interests first, as top priority. And now, for the no. We're saying no to a population of 10 million. Our population now stands at a figure of 5.7 million and is on course to hit 6.9 million in the next few years. There has also been talk of increasing this number to 10 million by bringing in more foreigners. While we recognize the need for Singapore to be an active participant in the global economy and acknowledge the advantages of having a multinational workforce, we need to temper this with prudent management of our labour force to ensure that Singaporeans are not disadvantaged unfairly. Currently, 1 in 4 PMET jobs is held by a foreigner, and a larger non-Singaporean population will create even harsher competition for PMET positions and detrimentally affect Singaporeans. The SDP will push to prevent our population from being raised to 10 million and will work to ensure that Singaporeans get better access to PMET roles. So, now you know what the deal is. Our 4 Years 1 No campaign plan was crafted with feedback from the community and is all about addressing the essential concerns of Singaporeans in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. It also ensures that the longer-term problems that confront our nation are dealt with. The SDP will focus on these issues and expound upon them in the coming weeks and months. So my friends, if our ideas appeal to you, please give us the opportunity to serve you better by voting for us so that we can represent your interests and needs in Parliament. It would be an honour too. But for now, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Min from the Singapore Democratic Party, and until we next meet, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay engaged. See ya!
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are at the Bukit Gombak Stadium, which is counted right now, and we are expecting an announcement.
It was quite a noisy atmosphere with the supporters blowing whistles, chanting and cheering.
At the Bukit Gombak Stadium after the announcement of the final vote count for the single-member constituency, a contest which he has lost.
This doesn't quite feel like a defeat.
It's difficult. We're not only competing against the ruling party, we're up against the media, local media as well.
Party Chief Chee Soon-juan, the Singapore Democratic Party failed to make headway in this general election.
Whenever I stumble, my opponents laugh and they rub their hands in glee. It is painful, and that pain has tested me to the very core. But I know I must bear the pain because it is the pain that makes me better and stronger. Failure comes only when we stop trying. If you don't know me by now, I will tell you again. I will not stop trying.
Hi.
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 Hi, everybody.
Hey there.
Hello, everyone.
Salam sejahtera.
各位大家好。
Good evening, my fellow Singaporeans. My name is Chee Soon-juan, and I am the Secretary General of the Singapore Democratic Party.
I'm Dr. Paul Anantambaya.
My name is Benjamin Quinn.
I'm Min Cheong.
My name is Robin Low.
My name is James Gomez.
My name is Wayin.
I am Damanhuri Abbas.
I am Tan Ji Se.
I'm Alfred Tan.
Support me and support the SDP.
Please support us, support SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Sokong SDP. உங்களுக்கு பணி செய்ய நான் காத்திருக்கிறேன்.
支持農能，支持民主黨。
Support us to help build a democratic Singapore based on justice and equality.
I invite you, my fellow Singaporeans, to stand up and walk. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start today's presentation by giving you a pop quiz. Who said this? The PAP must treat Singaporeans as human beings. Was it A, J.B. Jeyaretnam, B, David Marshall, or C, Francis Seow? Wrong. The answer is none of the above. That was a trick question. Now, these words were uttered by none other than former PAP Minister George Yeo. Mr. Yeo made the statement when he was about to lose his seat in the 2011 general elections. And why do I bring this matter up when it happened so many years ago? Because I want to leave you in absolutely no doubt that if you vote more opposition candidates into parliament, life gets better. That's right. Life gets better if you vote for the opposition. You think I'm kidding? Now, I'll give you evidence that the PAP listens to you when you have more opposition MPs in parliament. I'll do this by contrasting the developments that took place after GE11 versus those after GE2015. Now, I sometimes hear people say, what can the opposition do even if we vote for them? Or, bo pian, the PAP always gets what it wants. Well, you are wrong. Dead wrong. After polling day, when the PAP saw its vote share come down to 60% in the 2011 elections and had lost 6 seats, unimpressive ministers like Raymond Lim, who could not rectify the problems with the MRT system, Wong Kan Seng, who under his watch saw the suspected terrorist Ms. Ma Salamat escape, and Ma Bao Tan, who made a complete mess of the HDB flat supply, all quite stepped down from the cabinet. Also, Mr. Goh Chok Tong resigned from the cabinet, thus ending taxpayers having to pay him enormous sums of money for holding a post many thought unnecessary. In addition, ministerial salaries were cut to placate the people's anger. 3. The PAP agreed to tighten immigration and add more buses to the public transport network. 4. It also upped social spending and came up with measures like the MediShield Life and the Pioneer Generation Package. 5. PM Lee Hsien Loong even apologized to Singaporeans twice and pledged to do better. If we didn't get it right, he said, I'm sorry, but we will try better the next time. And finally, as I stated at the beginning, Mr. George Yeo, former minister who lost the seat, admitted that the PAP needed to change and treat citizens as human beings. I hope you realize the significance of the statement. It is a damning admission by a PAP minister that his party has not been treating the people like human beings. Now remember, all this apologizing, stepping down, cutting of salaries, increasing public help in public transport and healthcare costs, call for the party to change and to treat Singaporeans like human beings. All this took place when the PAP lost a few seats at the 2011 election. That is when you voted for more opposition MPs. Now let's take a look at what happened after the GE in 2015 when the PAP's vote share went up to 70%. One, within the first few months after the elections, the PAP started to raise prices for a series of items which I listed out in my previous speech. If you haven't watched it, please do so. It started with the car park rates going up by 20%, and this was followed by hikes of the water tax, town council fees, electricity and gas rates, school fees, bus and MRT fares, internet fees, and the list goes on and on. Two, unlike after GE 2011, the fumbling ministers continue on as if nothing happened. Take for instance, Health Minister, Gan Kim Yong. He remains in his post even after repeated debacles like the hepatitis C outbreak in SGH in 2015, where 25 patients were affected, of whom 8 died. Then his ministry's HIV registry data system was leaked, which affected more than 16,000 individuals. There was also the hacking of the SingHealth database, the biggest ever hacking incident in Singapore's history that led to the theft of 1.5 million patient records. Tan Tock Seng Hospital personnel failed to properly sterilize dental health equipment used on patients. And can you remember the Zika virus? The first case was detected on 31st July 2016. MOH had preliminary results before this was confirmed on 27th August 2016. That's nearly a month, but decided not to inform the public because it did not want to create a false alarm. And compare this to Wong Kan Seng, Raymond Lim, and Mao Bao Tan, whom I mentioned stepping down after 2011 when his percentage of votes came down. But now not only does Mr. Gan continue in his post, despite all these debacles, he was appointed to head the task force with Mr. Lawrence Wong to deal with the COVID pandemic. Are you surprised that things went so wrong? 3. Unlike after 2011, when the ministers took a pay cut, they become even more arrogant after the 2015 GE when you gave PAP your votes. Now, Mr. Goh Chok Tong said this in 2011. He was addressing a grassroots member for daring to even suggest that ministers cut their pay and use the money to financially assist the poor. Now, in case you didn't hear it properly, let me repeat what Mr. Goh said. I am telling you, not I am asking, seeking your support, but telling you that even at $150,000, $180,000, $200,000 a month, the ministers are not paid enough. Can you see how arrogant they've become? And do you see the pattern, my friends? When you give the PAP a high percentage of votes, it becomes arrogant and it feels that the voters have given them the green light to raise your living expenses, to increase the population, to increase their own salaries, and to continue to withhold your CPF savings. And because its power was never challenged, it continued to take advantage of your support. A good example is the ERP for motorists. Now, this practice started in 1975. It was called the Area Licensing Scheme then. The idea was to control the number of cars entering the CBD and Orchard Road area. Well, at that time, everything was done manually. You had to buy a ticket either on a monthly or daily basis and display it on your car. And there was a cop standing or in a booth at the entrance of the restricted zone, and you would be fined if you did not have the tag. Now, some people said that the policy made sense at that time because there was a need to reduce traffic congestion in the downtown area. Perhaps. But like everything else, when you don't keep in check what the government does, very soon it takes advantage of the situation. In 1997, the PAP introduced the electronic version and placed gantries around the CBD area. But because it kept getting unqualified support, it got bolder, and the couple of gantries started to have babies, and soon the entire island was covered by the ERP. There are now about 80 gantries in total. Even today, some residential areas like Toa Payoh have gantries. Even when you go home in the evening, like on the CTE, you have to pay the ERP. The government collects about $150 million a year from the ERP. That was 10 years ago. I'm not sure about the amount today. Now the PAP wants to go on and make it a satellite-based GPS tracking system so that the minute you get out of the car park, you start paying, regardless of your location. The same thing for our CPF funds. When first started in early 2000s, the minimum sum scheme, now called the retirement sum scheme, retained $80,000 of our CPF savings. But because election after election you kept voting for it and allowing it to monopolize Parliament, the amount it retained went up steadily until it hit $181,000 this year. Now this kept increasing. They kept increasing, I beg your pardon, the GST from 3% to 5% to 7%, but you kept voting for them. They kept increasing your HDB price, making it what international housing analysts say are, quote unquote, seriously unaffordable. You kept voting for them. Do you see how you've reinforced the PAP's behavior? And do you see why Lee BY can become so arrogant and scold the people, calling us "xi gui kia" and saying "Akong 對我人安尼好，唔知事，讓弟弟個 complain." And this is not a government that serves the people. It is one that lords over us. Like fire, the PAP is a good servant, but a bad master. And you know why it has become the master? Because every time they demonstrate their arrogance and power, the people reward them even more by voting for them so overwhelmingly. On the other hand, when you vote in more opposition MPs, the PAP listens to you and moderates its behavior and cuts back on its excesses. Again, don't take my word for it. This is what the late Dr. Toh Chin Chai said. When the PAP and the opposition were 26-25, the government was sensitive to issues and was circumspect. When you've got a strong opposition, there's consultation. Now, Dr. Toh is not just an opposition dude. He was the Deputy Prime Minister and the founding chairman of the PAP. In other words, they listen to you when you cut down its vote share, but not when you vote for it so overwhelmingly like in 2015. Now let me explain how in this election you can make the PAP stop these excesses. Now the SDP is focusing on our 4Y 1N campaign. We make it plain and explicit. We're asking voters to say yes, number one, to suspend the GST until end 2021 and not increasing it to 9% after 2021. Yes, number two, to provide financial benefits for retrenched workers. And yes, number three, to giving our bottom 80% of our retirees $500 a month. Yes, number four, to always put Singaporeans first. And a big no to a 10 million population. And now that the PAP has promised that we will not move to 10 million population or even a 6.9 million one, we need to get into Parliament to make sure that they keep this promise. Now I'll explain how we are going to pay for all these programs in my next speech. Please look out for it. For now, I want to assure you that our 4Y 1N plan is eminently affordable. What we propose in our scheme to invest in retrenched workers and help the elderly, the programs would cost us $5 billion a year. Compare this to the recent nearly $100 billion that the PAP proposed just this year and passed the bill. At this rate, even if the government collected no revenue, it would take 20 years for our plan to hit $100 billion. And please, don't let the PAP define what is right and wrong and tell us what to think and how to think. Think independently. Think out of the box. Now, retrenched workers taking the money are they going to fly out to Paris for a holiday? No, let's just apply some sense here. They are going to use the money to buy things in our shops. The elderly is going to use the money to buy that pair of slippers or eat at the food center. All this is going to help our local businesses, unlike the money we keep paying to foreign workers who then send the money back home to their home countries. Now, if you vote for the SDP and our candidates get into parliament, what message do you think the PAP will hear? They will hear that you want these 4 yeses and 1 no, because we are making it absolutely clear that our campaign is about these 5 issues. But if you don't elect us, then the PAP will get the loud and clear message that you don't mind the GST being increased to 9%, you don't want to receive any financial support if you get retrenched, or you don't want $500 for our elderly retirees. If you send the SDP to Parliament, do you think the PAP will be so stupid to ignore your message? It didn't dare after the 2011 GE. The reality, the moral of the story, my fellow Singaporeans, is that there is nothing to be gained by giving the PAP all the seats. Now, there are altogether 93 seats up for grabs in this election. Whether it gets all of the seats or 47 seats, it makes little difference to the PAP because it still forms the government. This is called a simple majority. The government can still pass bills and function with a simple majority. As I said in my previous speech, you cannot trust the current set of ministers to act in your interest. They will say the sweetest words and make the most assuring promises. But as events over the last couple of years have shown, they will break their promises if there is not an opposition in Parliament to hold the ministers to their word. You have the chance in this election to correct and bring some balance into the system. Will you throw it away again? And we must spread the word. Now, there is still a segment of voters who are not familiar with what's going on. Tell all your friends about tonight and what you've heard. Share with everyone what you watch and read on our Facebook. Then encourage them to do the same. Be our advocates and our activists. There's so much to do, so much that you can do. And for the sake of this country, for the sake of your future, your children's future, get involved. The worst thing that you can do is to watch passively from the sidelines and do nothing. Volunteer. We need polling agents. Donate. Buy our merchandise. We need funds for our campaigns. Buy my books. I need to make a living. Now, I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. We want to appeal to your head, not just your heart. We want to change your mind, not just your vote. When you walk into that voting booth on Friday, we want to give you a reason, a strong and legitimate reason to vote for the SDP and not just against the PAP. In other words, we want you to vote intelligently, and I hope courageously. Our policies are not based on some ideology. They are based on what you tell us, on what you see and hear, and what you are going through, what you want. You work hard, save up for your children, put aside something for your retirement. But these things are increasingly beyond your reach. We know that. We want to help. We can help. But we can help only if you allow us, by voting for us. And now that we have Facebook, YouTube, and I can communicate with you directly, this is just me. I am not the devil. I'm just another Singaporean bloke who happens to love his country very much. And for those of you who have walked with me all these years, I say thank you. For those of you who have just come on board, I say welcome with open arms. Together, let's go make change on 10th July. Vote for me, vote for my colleagues in Bukit Panjang, Marsiling UT, Holland Bukit Timah, and Yuhua. Vote SDP. Thank you, and good night.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are at the Bukit Gombak Stadium, which is counted right now, and we are expecting an announcement.
It was quite a noisy atmosphere with the supporters blowing whistles, chanting and cheering.
at the Bukit Gombak Stadium after the announcement of the final vote count for the single-member constituency, a contest which he has lost.
This doesn't quite feel like a defeat.
It's difficult. We're not only competing against the ruling party, we're up against the media, local media as well.
Party chief Chee Soon-juan, the Singapore Democratic Party failed to make headway in this general election.
Whenever I stumble, my opponents laugh and they rub their hands in glee. It is painful, and that pain has tested me to the very core. But I know I must bear the pain because it is the pain that makes me better and stronger. Failure comes only when we stop trying. If you don't know me by now, I will tell you again. I will not stop trying.
Dear friends and supporters, I am Alfred from the Singapore Democratic Party, SDP. In this video, I'd like to share with you some policies of the SDP. PAP has a set of policies or direction for the country. So does the SDP. Our policies are guided by three key principles: people before profit, rights before riches, and wisdom before wealth. These principles will bring our country in the right direction. Analysts predicted up to 200,000 retrenchments in the post-COVID aftermath. We will introduce Restart, a retrenchment insurance scheme for retrenched workers. It covers 75% of the last drawn salary for the first 6 months, 50% for the next 6 months, and 25% for the last 6 months, capped at the median wage. To qualify, retrenched workers will need to actively seek re-employment. To rebuild our post-COVID economy, we need to focus on our SMEs. We propose to divest GLCs in certain sectors and redirect resources towards the SMEs. SMEs and not GLCs are the natural engines for innovative growth. We call for the introduction of a minimum wage scheme. We need to reduce income inequality. When there is financial security, our workers can then improve productivity, a key factor in turning our economy around. We will introduce a talent track scheme. Foreign PMETs who wish to work in Singapore are assessed on a point system, scoring on qualifications, skills, and experience. Qualified applicants will then be added to a wait list. Companies will then be able to hire from this list only if they are not able to find suitable Singaporean candidates. This system will put priority on qualified Singaporeans, while keeping the option open for companies to hire foreigners only when needed. To reignite the battered economy after COVID, we need to encourage spending. We propose to remove the GST entirely until end 2021 and keep the GST at 0% for necessities like food, education, and healthcare when the economy recovers. GST can be increased for luxury items such as sports cars and jewelry to make up for the difference. The COVID pandemic has trained the spotlight on our healthcare system. Our healthcare system is world-class, but healthcare costs for the people are too high. Medical inflation outpaced general inflation by around 20 times in 2019. With this backdrop, we propose to scrap the complicated 3M system. In its place, we introduce a National Healthcare Investment Fund. This will cover all basic healthcare requirements, including accidents and pregnancies. The NHIF will be funded primarily through citizen contributions and government spending. Every working adult will contribute about $50 per month from their CPF, lower than the current MediShield Life premium. A patient co-pays 10% of the hospital bill, capped at $2,000 per year. The remainder will be paid by the NHIF. The universal healthcare approach ensures that people will not need to worry about financial ruin in the event of a catastrophic medical emergency. With our economy, jobs, and healthcare addressed, we next look at public housing. The systemic failure of HDB resulted in flat shortages and escalating prices. While this is being rectified with aggressive construction efforts in recent years, HDB prices remain artificially high due to the land cost component. We propose non-open market flats. Removing the land cost will reduce flat prices by about 40 to 60%. The price of a 2-room HDB will be around $70,000, 3-room $100,000, and 4-room at $160,000. By reducing the costs and paying less for their flats, Singaporeans can leave more CPF funds for their retirement needs. Because of the non-open market nature, the non-flat owners will only sell the flat back to the HDB. There is no opportunity to speculate and profit from the non-flat. These are just a few features of our proposed policies. To access SDP's full policy details, please refer to the links in the description. So, my friends, if you think that some of our ideas appeal to you, please give us the opportunity to represent your views in the next term of Parliament. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Alfred from the Singapore Democratic Party. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Cheers.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are at the Bukit Gombak Stadium, which is counted right now, and we are expecting an announcement by the
It was quite a noisy atmosphere with the supporters blowing whistles, chanting and cheering.
At the Bukit Gombak Stadium after the announcement of the final vote count for the single-member constituency, a contest which he has lost.
This doesn't quite feel like a defeat.
It's difficult. We're not only competing against the ruling party, we're up against the media, local media as well.
Party chief Chee Soon-juan, the Singapore Democratic Party failed to make headway in this general election.
Whenever I stumble, my opponents laugh and they rub their hands in glee. It is painful, and that pain has tested me to the very core. But I know I must bear the pain because it is the pain that makes me better and stronger. Failure comes only when we stop trying. If you don't know me by now, I will tell you again. I will not stop trying.
Hello Singapore, welcome to Hot Seat, the newest segment where we talk about some of the hottest issues going on in Singapore during this short but very intense campaign period. I'm your host, Stanley Tan, and with us here today we have esteemed actress Miss Neo Swee Lin. Now you may recognize her as Amma from Phua Chu Kang, but beyond that, she's also featured in numerous foreign, local films, and also she's involved in over 40 theatre plays. But beyond acting, Miss Neo, she has a talent. If you follow her on social media, you know. Isn't it right, Miss Neo?
Thank you, Stanley. That's a very nice introduction. Yeah, well, no, I'm mostly an actor. But then, being an actor, the work comes and goes because we're freelance, right? Yeah. So during a time there was a lull where I didn't get very much work, I started to learn to play the ukulele. And I learned it from YouTube,
Oh.
So I tell you, anybody can learn. So recently I've been singing and playing songs with my husband online, KSU.
Okay.
Yeah, so the two of us, we go live. We started going live in June, every day at 5 p.m. We sing songs to, kind of bring cheer to people, spread positivity and to spread love, and a good message. And then now, well, because since the elections are coming up, we feel even more, there's time to talk about topical things, time for us to sing songs to make sure that people know that, now is the time for you to really talk about your causes, to care about society.
So you say you sing more political songs?
Well, no lah. We do sing one song that a couple of songs. Actually, we do sing some political songs, some activist songs.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one that we like a lot. It's called "Digedanken Zin Frei." It means our thoughts are free. And that was introduced to us by Teo So Lang.
Okay.
She used to say that when she was detained without trial, in 1987, she would sometimes, during Operation Spectrum, she would sing sometimes, the Gedanken sind frei, and then her captors, as it were, would say to her, like, you don't think we don't know what you're singing,
I'm sure they do. They know everything.
Yeah, then also, KSU and I wrote a song called Now is the Time. I think at the time when Dr. Chee Soon-juan was running for the by-election in Bukit Batok.
2016?
2016, yeah. And the tagline was, Now is the Time. And I live quite close to Bukit Batok. So when we went for a walk one day, I told KSU, I said, hey, why don't we try writing a song together? I sing one line, you sing one line, let's see what we get. And then so that's a song that we sing every day now, ever since the elections were announced. Yeah. It basically is very simple. It goes, now is the time to fight the good fight. Now is the time to fight for what is right. So it's fun because we think it's simple and everybody can sing along.
And it is very true, right? Now is the time to really step up and stay informed and really do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned back in 2016, I recall back in 2016, I was a bit younger, couldn't vote yet.
Oh, you couldn't vote yet?
Yeah.
Now you can.
Yes, definitely. So back in 2016, I remember I actually saw a video of you speaking out at Dr. Chee's rally.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so, back then you spoke and now you're here on this live stream. How would you compare, between, say, physical campaigning and something that's done on the internet?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess we have no choice, right? We can't have rallies now where people can congregate. So I guess on the one hand, it's a great thing because we are closer to people. They can see, all your flaws and they can stop, they can rewind, they can fast forward. Yeah. So that's one advantage. But I mean, there's nothing that can compare to a real handshake.
That is true.
Right? Yes. Or to see somebody live. Yeah, it's a completely different experience. Yeah.
I recall actually, I think it was just last week, not so long ago, PM Lee Hsien Loong, he was saying that, I don't remember much of what he said, but he just said, I want to make sure parties can campaign effectively. Do you think parties can campaign effectively now?
Well, I think one party can campaign more effectively than another, than the others. But it's always been that way, it seems to me. So prior to when the elections were called, there were all these ministerial speeches, right? Supposedly about the COVID situation. But it seems that they started campaigning before everyone else.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So even now I've heard from some of the candidates that, they're allowed some screen time on MediaCorp, right?
Right.
But they have to send in their speeches 48 hours before they can broadcast it.
Yeah.
So
it's an unfair playing ground, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess this is the situation that we are in, and we just have to work with it as much as we can.
Yeah, as we are now.
Yeah, right, as we are
Yeah.
trying to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope, I guess it also means that all parties have to do it, and it's
That's
not
true.
just the opposition parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the internet, recently there's been a lot of drama, you've acted in a lot of drama. So what do you think of the, the recent drama that got a candidate removed? Sorry, I mean, caused him to resign.
Yes,
Yes.
he withdrew.
Yes.
It depends on which headline you read. The South China News has a different headline. Yeah, I don't know lah. All I know is the drama is quite fun to watch. It's like you don't have to go and tune in to your favorite, Korean drama anymore. You just go to your social media and check what's happening now. Yeah, that's just, it's sad.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's sad. Yeah. If the allegations about him are true, then, I think even more the incumbent party, they need to be careful about, how they choose people.
Yes, the selection process needs to be more stringent.
Exactly. Yeah, well said.
So, a lot of this drama had to do with the candidates' qualities.
Yeah.
So, personally, what do you think is most important, for a candidate running for, to be MP?
Yeah, I read a very interesting status on Facebook from a friend.
Okay.
Yeah, and he said, hey, what do you think for a change instead of looking for, doctors and, why do you look for nurses? And do you know what I mean? So I thought that was quite interesting because not only does a candidate have to be smart, intelligent, organized, bright, and have kind of leadership qualities. At the same time, I think there must be a real willingness to serve and a sense that you are there for the people and not the other way around.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's been this talk. I always remember this phrase that PM Lee said, natural aristocracy.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, that drives me crazy because, I'm sorry, we're not a monarchy. We don't have aristocrats.
Yes.
People are all the same. My t-shirt says that.
Yes.
All human beings are born, can you see?
Yeah.
Born
free and equal in dignity and rights.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that's...
I completely agree with you, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wore this t-shirt.
Very fitting for these times.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I support SDP as well. Yeah, because of all the parties, I think they stand up the most for human rights.
Yeah, that's true.
And freedoms.
Yeah, and for that, they've been punished a lot by, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, right now, our viewers, I'm sure, besides the elections, are thinking about the moments right after the elections. What is this new parliament going to do for Singapore in this pressing, very desperate times that we're in? So, what do you think are some of the most pressing issues that we face in this era of COVID-19?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I wouldn't like to I don't know that much, I'm only an actor, really. And, but I have to say that one thing that's come out of this whole situation, and I have some activist friends that they've been talking about the conditions in the dormitories for our migrant workers for years now. There have been reports, and most of them have been ignored. If there's one thing that's come out good from this, is that that has been really highlighted. And I do hope that because the migrant workers are the ones that are really building our country.
That is true.
Yeah, and I hope the conditions for them will improve. Yeah.
Absolutely. Besides hosting this show, I'm a student of sociology, right? So,
Okay.
so when I write some of my works, I have to do research, and I see this migrant workers issue. It's been around for the past 5 to 10 years. I read these articles. Wait, what is happening now has been, informed of by the activists, right? The ministries know about this, and then
Absolutely,
this still happen.
absolutely.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah. So, Yeah, well, I mean, let's hope that that this will make a change. I mean, it already has, I think, made a change once it's been highlighted. So I guess people don't really care because it doesn't affect their daily life. Yeah. And then suddenly now it's like, oh, yeah, our numbers were going down. Suddenly, poof, right? Then suddenly they realize, they've been in cramped dormitories and in some very bad conditions. Yeah.
I think this crisis really reveals, kind of the flaws in our society. Like not everybody is treated equally, especially for the marginalized. We really see what happens to them.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's been a real equalizer, hasn't it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, because the virus doesn't pick you, like if you're a natural aristocrat, you're not going to get it. Right. I mean, it was like kind of sad, but strange in a way when the Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister, got it.
When he got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And then after that, I remember he just started thanking all the frontliners.
Yeah, suddenly, right before that, he didn't think much. Like, oh, not gonna hit me. Yeah.
So, as now we are moving towards elections right now, assuming when we go to the polls, all of us don't catch COVID-19, because of so many people, millions of people coming out, queuing, close quarters.
It is a very strange time to call the election, isn't it? People are not 100% sure about going out yet, and then now suddenly we all have to, brace ourselves. And
I think only as of last week, we moved into phase 2, right? Not very long ago.
Yeah, not long at all, yeah.
And soon after that, elections.
Yeah. I mean, we all were expecting the elections to be called, but not quite so sudden and quite so soon. We thought, I certainly thought that at least, we'll wait to see how we do in phase 2 before we. Yeah, but it's a skewed one-sidedness as usual. What can we do?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, most important thing when voting, is to stay safe, keep a social distancing, because we never truly know, right, whether the measures put in place, whether they inculcate a false sense of security.
Yeah, true, yeah. So I'm staying 1 meter away from you.
Yes, we're all 1 meter apart, just to be very safe.
Yeah, just to be sure.
So yes, so after these elections, maybe next year, 2021, what sort of Singapore do you wish to see after that?
Well, we were talking earlier about that particular candidate who stepped down or withdrew.
Who shall remain unnamed.
Who shall remain unnamed. Yeah. I mean, in a way, it is a good thing that it came out, and I mean, I don't even know if it's a good thing, because I think it's quite a scary thing when with the internet, it can have a real mob mentality.
It's weaponized.
Right. I mean, I think Prime Minister PM Lee said something about it today as well. He was also protecting the fella. Yeah. I mean, but then if you protect the fella, then why did he have to step down? Anyway, we'll have to wait till the elections are over so we can see the proper investigations to find out what happened. But I mean, I think I hope to see a less divided society. I hope to see people kind of like not jumping the gun and not getting this mob mentality. I mean, I myself can fall into it because during this whole one of my friends, Alfian Saad.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, from the same GRC again, right? Another unnamed, another doctor who kind of, by the way, slimed my friend by, through the opposition leader. I mean, we were all shocked when that happened.
And some of these claims that he made, it's just based on a very superficial reading of Alfian's post, right?
Well, so they were saying, later we thought that it was him just working on his own, but then the whole party backed him up after that, which really, really disappointed me. Because, okay, you can say that this is what his Facebook is, but I, as a friend of his, I can attest to the fact that he is not, a traitor or somebody who's questioning the sovereignty of our country. I can attest to that, because honestly, if you want to take out people's Facebook statuses and say that's the whole of them, I got a lot of, I got, other ministers' Facebook statuses. In fact, I have immortalized one of them in a song. Now is the time. If you got time, come and listen to it.
Please do check it out.
Casey and I sing every day at 5 p.m. Sorry, I plug.
Yeah, no worries.
So on my Facebook, Neo Swee Lin, or on IG Live, it's at Neo Swee Lin.
Please do follow. I think at a time like this, that is when, people will call this non-essential, but I think these are the kind of essential things we need right now, to stay informed, to entertain ourselves, and beyond that, to really do the right thing.
Yeah. And also, I think I would say to people to think for yourselves. Yeah, because it's quite easy to follow the mob kind of herd mentality and to be influenced by people.
Certainly.
Yeah, but the more information you have, I think information is power. They say, right? Yeah.
But I feel like even before the internet became widespread, this kind of smearing, it has been used against certain political candidates, right?
It's quite upsetting. When they, when they talked about this fella that we just talked about, that we are not going to mention, they talked about how his mother was very upset by the whole thing, and then today I saw somebody said, and it's absolutely true. Dr. Chi's mother must have been suffering for so long. So everybody is a human being. Everybody needs to be treated like a human being.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this trend of character assassination, it's just not productive for politics, and it really takes us away from the pressing issues that we have at hand, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So personally for you, what was something that, as a Singaporean, you feel is most important, that there's some policies, need to address,
Oh, I told you already, I don't know how to answer this question because it's so big for me. I can tell you that I think, because I know I have a law background, only because I studied law. So when I see certain laws that I think are just, they don't feel right. POFMA is one.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that our law minister said that POFMA encourages democracy because a person has to put a statement to prove what he says. Okay, that may be true, but my issue with that is that you, the minister, you are the arbiter of what is fake and what is not, what is true and what isn't. So, and then true enough, we've seen them use it against opposition parties.
Yeah.
So I think that's an unfair law. Yeah. Yeah, so what was the other thing I was going to say? We were talking about...
you're mentioning that, perhaps about retirement. Did you plan to retire?
Oh, yeah. I will never retire. Actors never need to retire. CPF. We talked about that just now,
yes.
huh? Yeah. Well, the CPF thing is a very, very clear issue to me. Because when I remember very clearly when I first went into the job market, when I got my first job, I worked in advertising. I actually never worked in law ever.
Okay.
I worked in advertising for a couple of years, and I worked so hard to get my salary. And then when I got my paycheck, I fought for this salary.
Yeah.
Then when I got my paycheck, I was like, how come it's like that? It's that much less.
20% gone.
25, right?
25.
But then they told me that, this 25% is going to be in your saving, and your employer also going to put 25%, and you'll have this lump sum when you're 55 that you can withdraw.
Yeah.
So I think for people that are around my age, and it's like we feel like, it's a promise that was made that has been altered and changed, and without being really explained to why and or how, and then this enforced MediShield,
yes.
Which
new schemes keep coming out.
Yeah,
right?
all these new schemes that appear, and then when I look at MediShield, I realize, but then MediShield doesn't really cover anything. My father who passed away almost a year ago, he was really upset because he was 80. I mean, he was like way into his 80s already, and he suddenly got this, like, what? I have to pay for my MediShield, you know? So, you know, my dad who'd worked all his life is going, how come I suddenly have to get MediShield, which does...
So even at 80, he still has to contribute?
Yeah, he was asked to contribute, and he was really quite miffed about it. Yeah, I mean, rightfully so, you know. So he would go like, what do you mean? What kind of pioneer am I? Now I still have to pay.
I mean, they give out a PGP, and then, you know, you got to take back somehow. So, you know, I think a lot of the people that are coming out and saying, like, you know, they have to keep the CPF because otherwise retirees will spend it all, you know, on casino, I don't know, gambling, drinks. What do you think about this kind of statements?
I think that's really condescending.
I agree.
I find that very condescending. Yeah. You make one promise and then you change your mind because you say, oh, you know, we will think for you because you can't think for yourselves. In the first, I mean, if we really have to go there in the first place, why do we have this casino? Right? Somebody said, over my dead body. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
And I think, honestly, you know, if that's the kind of reason they want to give up, perhaps they should provide some kind of evidence, statistics, show how many people actually do, you know, squander away their wealth, you know, after retirement. I think that number is small to insignificant amounts.
I think that's a very poor reason, very poor excuse.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So besides retirement, I think, you know, what many are concerned about, me included, you know, is this post-COVID world, the jobs are going to be very scarce, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, do you think that, how do you think, you know, we can ensure that Singaporeans can continue to be employed? I mean, not in very abstract political terms, just like...
Honestly, I can't answer that question. It's not in my purview at all.
I agree. I mean,
I sing songs.
I mean, I'm also a student. I also don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. We just don't know, right? Like, you know, is there going to be enough jobs? You know, are people going to get retrenched? I think right now we are seeing quite a bit of retrenchment going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, as part of the SDP's 4 years, 1 no platform policies, they actually suggest retrenchment benefits. Do you think that would be helpful, you know, for workers?
Well, yes, definitely. I think so. Yeah. You can talk more about SDP policies. I won't talk about what I don't know about.
Okay. So, other than that, one of the other years is that, you know, we will provide, you know, in this post-COVID period, we will provide payouts for retirees.
Okay.
You know, because the economy is so tough, right, and everything is so uncertain.
Right.
So, what do you think of that? Would that
well, I think that it sounds right. It sounds perfect to me. GST is getting higher and higher, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually one of our yes as well.
That's what I remember. Yeah, about GST. Maybe not for the people who are suffering.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's basically they intend to reduce the GST to 0% up to the end of 2021, especially for essential goods, because GST actually affects, you know, the middle and lower class the most, and not for the rich. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that sounds wonderful to me. Yeah.
So other than that,
I wanted to say one more thing. I think, like when you asked me about what I thought I would like to see for Singapore, right? Actually, I would like to see more of a democratic process, a fair democratic process. Yeah. When I look at the elections, I think I would like to see more SMCs.
Yes.
Because I really think that GRCs are anti-democracy. It's really there to disadvantage the opposition. That's how I think. Because it's so difficult for the opposition, you know, to carry on the things that they do, because it's not, they have to make a living, right? They don't have this $1 million or $100,000. They don't have these salaries. And in fact, I know for a fact that a lot of people, once they run for opposition, they then find it very difficult to either get a job or it becomes. So I would like to see. I would like to see more fairness in those areas, and not to stigmatize people who stand up for the opposition or stand for the opposition, me included.
Yeah, that's actually what I was wondering. I mean, you spoke in a rally a few years ago, and now you're here. Aren't you afraid of anything by affiliating with an opposition party?
No lah, I don't. Don't make me scared lah. Are you?
Well, no lah. I mean, if in the future I cannot find job, maybe I might know why.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We never know whether it's because of that or not.
Yeah,
but I think we just have to stand for what we believe in. Yeah, I asked you, right? We had a little chat just before we had this formal chat. What made you come and work for? I mean, kind of volunteer for SDP, and then we both had this kind of sharing about Dr. Chi. Yeah. Right, about, you said that you had seen one of his speeches.
Yeah, I was, again, I was not old enough to vote yet. I was like 18, 19, and then that's when I think there was an election back then, I think 2015, 2011, and I went to these rallies to find out more, because I didn't know much of anything. Right? In schools, they don't teach you these things.
They don't, yeah.
So that's when I listened to many speeches, Dr. Chi's included, and from then, I really tried to find out more about politics, until 1 year ago I decided to actually stand up and fight for it myself, with the SDP.
That's fantastic, yeah. Because I have the similar experience. It was the 2011, right, elections where I had heard Dr. Chi speak for the first time, and I met him, and then I went, oh gosh, this guy is really, really intelligent, very bright, very passionate, and he's not the madman that they painted him out to be.
Crazy loony,
right? Yeah. So then I started to kind of get more involved. And since then, I feel that I have to stand up for what I believe in. Yeah.
And a friend and I just discussed this yesterday. Right? I say, oh, he's a psychopath here for power. But then, if you're here for power, you wouldn't be representing for opposition party, right? Because that's not how you get rich, it's not how you get powerful, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, anyone who's met Dr. Chi knows that, can tell that he's not crazy for power. That's not the kind of man he is.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us are in this struggle, in this fight for a reason.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm really excited. Dr. Paul Tambaya as well is still running this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just thrilled. I can't wait to see Brian as well, I think, and I can't wait to see who comes up tomorrow at nomination day. I want to know who's running where.
I mean, actually, SDP has several new candidates, and I think everyone is quite excited to meet them.
Fantastic.
Nomination day.
Yeah, thrill. Such a thrill.
Yeah, but I believe when nomination day happens, and then every party announces their candidates, in the mainstream media, the news wave, you're just only going to hear about specific.
Let's hope not now.
Yeah.
Let's hope things are changing. Yeah.
And that's why we are here, right? To offer an alternative voice, to really show what is on the other side. The side that nobody wants to talk about or listen to.
Yeah.
So beyond this, do you have anything that you wish to say to our viewers at home? Because this is going to be an intense period, right? And everything's going to be, the news, the social media, everything's going to be bombarded. If there's one thing they should take away, from this session, what would you say to them?
I guess I would say, please vote. Don't spoil your vote. Your vote is so precious. Somebody like you who's a brand new voter, he will share with you, just vote. Yeah, make sure you vote. I want to say vote wisely. I want to say vote SDP, but vote according to your heart, vote according to what you believe, and then nobody can take it away from you, yeah?
That's true.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's not just about voting, right? It's to stay informed and.
Of course,
yeah.
yeah.
How do you think voters can stay informed with so many things going on? What's the best way for them to really?
Gosh, I don't know. You know what I do? What I do is I don't read the mainstream news. I mean, because often you know what's coming there. So you read alternative sites. You get as much information as you can, and then you decide yourself, lah. Yeah, I mean, I want to say vote opposition, but it goes against what I've said earlier, right? But if you can vote opposition, okay?
So,
because we talked about this, right?
I agree too.
Because we talked about this, right?
Yes.
I mean, what's going to happen? Like you get another 2-3 people in opposition. That's all it is.
I think what people are afraid of is that it's a blackout, and then the opposition takes over government all of a sudden. Just with a blink.
Is that ever going to happen in Singapore?
Look at history.
The game is so rigged that way already.
Exactly.
GRC lah, NMP lah, NCMP, all that is all so anti-democracy to me lah. Yeah. So and even if that happens, right? Somebody said, and this really makes sense to me, the PAP is going to be the best opposition, ever. Because they are very right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll have what we want, a good opposition party.
So thank you very much for this very insightful session.
Thank you, Stanley.
Please do remember to follow Swee Lin on social media, right? She has many interesting things.
Yeah, I know Swee Lin.
Yeah.
On Facebook every day or on IG Live. We'll be singing songs. We just learned a new song by Willie Nelson. Yeah, it's called Vote 'Em Out.
BTO.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't written by us. It was written by Willie Nelson about Donald Trump. Yeah, but it's a nice song, Yeah.
So please do check it out, give it a listen. And this has been Hot Seat, where we talk about some of the hottest issues going on in Singapore. Thank you. For our next segment, we actually have more ready speeches coming right up.
Three, two, one.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are at the Bukit Gombak Stadium, which is counted right now, and we are expecting an announcement.
It was quite a noisy atmosphere with the supporters blowing whistles, chanting and cheering.
At the Bukit Gombak Stadium after the announcement of the final vote count for the single-member constituency, a contest which he has lost.
This doesn't quite feel like a defeat.
It's difficult. We're not only competing against the ruling party, we are up against the media, local media as well.
Party chief Chee Soon-juan, the Singapore Democratic Party failed to make headway in this general election.
Whenever I stumble, my opponents laugh and they rub their hands in glee. It is painful, and that pain has tested me to the very core. But I know I must bear the pain because it is the pain that makes me better and stronger. Failure comes only when we stop trying. If you don't know me by now, I will tell you again. I will not stop trying.